Hey guys, welcome to Minty Fresh TV. This is episode 2 with your host Mint and TK.
We're back, episode 3.
Episode 3.
This is the episode where Mint talks about the first time he's in Japan. He goes, does all the usual sightseeing stuff, as you can imagine. Also takes a trip to the OG tuning master, Spoon Spots.
Spoon Sports.
So, without further ado, episode 3. Let's go.
Check it.
So this episode, in episode 1 we touched on you going to Japan.
Yeah, we did.
And, the reason why you went to Japan. So before you went to Japan, were you into Japanese cars?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I went to Japan because originally it was because of anime and games.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a gamer before I got into cars.
Yeah.
And I remember running home every day after school to watch the latest episode of Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball Z was on this a daily episode on Cartoon Network.
Yeah. And
all I can really remember about that was that there was the Frieza battles, which felt like they lasted about 6 months. I think it was like an hour long episode of Dragon Ball Z, and we were big time into it. So there was like my next door neighbor Scotty and me. We used to just like watch Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing like religiously. Yeah. Like when Gundam Wing got released on Cartoon Network in the UK, it was like a big deal because it was like we'd heard about it, but it had never been on TV here. So like Dragon Ball Z happened, and then Gundam Wing happened, and we were like, damn, anime's awesome. It's like Japan's sweet, like knocking out all this stuff. And then Pokemon, you know, like the Pokemon games, like the original Game Boy cards, blue and red. He had red, I had blue. And we just battle like all the time. Like we'd just be battling. This was like back in like 99, I think, 2000 when it first came out.
I was never into Dragon Ball Z, but I got mega into like anime and manga and stuff. Like for a while, like Akira and things like that.
Yeah, the
Ghost in
actual
the Shell
films
stuff.
like Akira and stuff. Yeah, they paved the way for a lot of people to kind of get into anime and Japan kind of culture. But we knew, like, I remember when we were playing Pokemon battles, we were saying, like, oh, it'd be so cool if, like, we went to Japan one day. And then, like, you'd be walking around and people would have their Game Boys and you could, like, battle people in the streets. We're like, I bet that's what happens over there. It's like everyone's, like, in Pokemon battles and stuff. We're like, yeah, that'd be sick. We were, like, really into all that sort of side of things. I remember we went to the Pokemon Championship in Glasgow. It was a Pokemon Championship where you would take your cart down and you'd stick it into. It was when Pokemon Stadium got released.
Okay.
And you would put your cart into the little thing that you put in the bottom of the controller, and then you could load all your Pokemon up into the game. And it was like a big tournament with like all these kids from like all over Scotland or whatever, and they'd turn up, and like the winner of the championship would get like to battle in the World Championship or something like that. But it was like we didn't win it, so like we didn't get to go and do that. But we were still like, it was sweet. And then once we got a bit older after that, we got our first cars, the Hondas. He had an EG hatch.
Yeah.
When I had my EG hatch, and then when I got the EM1, he got an EJ6 coupe. So we both had Civic coupes. His was the D16, I think. D16, mine was a B. And then we just decided, like, you know, we're really into Japan, really into, you know, we'd learned kind of a little bit about Spoon Sports. We'd seen a few things, and we were like, we should go to Japan and like find Spoon Sports and like do cool like Japan stuff, and like go and see like Gundam stuff, Pokemon stuff, Honda stuff, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we just we did it.
Early days of the internet as well, that you couldn't just go into Google Maps and type in Spoon Spots.
No.
And it appear.
There's no smartphones, no Google sat-nav maps or none of that sort of stuff. So
how did you find out the address for all this type of things before you left? Did you just like map quest it before you left?
Yeah. It was like literally like living like a game in real life. We had to like research, like we had to find the company information, go and find like some information about on their website or in magazines that like Scotty had like bought on or like online or whatever, and find maps. Like we'd have to find like, directions, addresses. It was in Japanese though, so we'd have to like try and like figure out, like roughly kind of where we're going
Yeah.
to do that. So like, yeah, when we went there, it was a case of we'd have like handwritten notes and pictures that we'd like printed off of like,
Oh man.
yeah, ropey maps and ropey addresses. But the way it worked, that's how we did it.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a phone that you could just jump on and check. Oh, yeah, we're like a mile away. We're going the right direction. Compasses,
Yeah.
legit. We didn't have none of that.
So before you went to Japan, had you ever been out the country yourself?
Yeah. So that's kind of partly how I knew that Japan was like where I wanted to be, because I'd been like so many places. I'd been to the US, been to Cyprus, Mallorca, all over France.
Yeah.
I'd never been to an Asian country though.
Mm.
I didn't have any interest in going really other than Japan. Like Japan was always the place I wanted to
obviously
go.
not interested in going to China or
No, not
Thailand or anything like that.
not per se. So I'd been like to a lot of places. My folks had taken me a lot of holidays, and and I'd been on holiday myself as well. Like went snowboarding in France and stuff. So I'd been on holiday myself, but I'd never been somewhere like Japan. Japan, as soon as I went there, it was just like, this is an entirely different ball game in terms of like experience and what you're taking in is just like it's like a futuristic yet traditional place in one, and it was just it was amazing to see. And it just rung bells, like seeing cars and stuff that like you just wouldn't usually see here, like just driving along the streets, and you'd be like, whoa, check that out, and then you see another one, you'd be like, whoa, check that out, and then you go into a shop and everyone's super like shouty and friendly and chirpy, and you're just like, oh wow, you feel really welcomed, and you can't read anything, you can't understand anyone. It's like, this is just like phenomenal. Like,
so if I'm going somewhere like Aberdeen, stroke Arford, which is rural, like Aberdeen's pretty rich in terms of people and stuff, but you don't see lots of Japanese cars driving about. Even then, like there were a lot of imports then,
yeah,
but not like that. So it must have been some shock. Like,
oh, completely, yeah. Completely. Like I didn't, when we first got Hondas, we were the scene there. Like there wasn't anybody else like really floating about out where we lived. We'd have to go into Aberdeen to see other Japanese cars. So yeah, to like travel there and just be like immersed in it was like game changing.
Culture shock.
Culture shock indeed. Yeah, it was sweet. Loved it.
Yeah. So when you went, did you stay anywhere decent or?
So we stayed in hostels because there wasn't an Airbnb set up at that point.
Yeah, it never existed.
The options were hostel or hotel. So Japanese hotels are really small, like tiny. And they're slightly more expensive than a hostel. So I'd never stayed in a hostel before, so I had no idea what to expect. But like once we did it, I realized like this was awesome. Like it was so good for being that age and wanting to meet people. It was a really good way of doing it, because it was like it was like £10 a night or something maybe. And you would have like, you would have your small room, but you'd have like a common room, like a living room, like chill area, and like everyone would just be chilling out, and you would meet so many people. And like chances are you would rarely come across someone who was also into cars, but you'd meet a lot of foreigners. So like we built friendships from just staying in hostels, and then before I knew it, I was going back to meet up with these people that I'd met by staying in that hostel. Or you'd find stuff out that you never even knew or thought of, and these guys were there for those reasons, and you'd be like, oh, cool, I'm gonna check that out. So yeah, hostels, mainly the same ones we stayed in, Zatsubashi, Asakusa. There was like a chain of hostels that had just started, the Kaiosan Tokyo hostels, and then they opened up like 2 or 3 other branches like a few years later on, and then we just like bounced between from one to the other, and then each time I'd go with somebody, we'd stay in like a different one. It was really decent. Like there was one trip I went there with a dude, and we turned up, and I don't know what happened. I think it was like double booked, so like our rooms that we had booked, it wasn't available. So they put us in the staff accommodation, which was epic because all the staff were chicks. So it was awesome. They were like, yeah, we shouldn't really do this because it's a female like accommodation block, but we haven't really got much option. So we're like, okay, we'll deal with that. And it was like a couple of Japanese girls, and then like an Italian girl, and yeah, there was a few chicks in there. They were all so sound though, really nice girls. And then we ended up hanging out with them for like a couple of weeks. And then yeah, it was sweet. So
Yeah,
it
it's
was a good
interesting with
experience.
Japan. I suppose there's lots of different cultures and
Yeah,
countries that come together. Like you're saying there, like Italy and
yeah,
Australia and stuff, and
yeah.
New
It
Zealand,
attracts
and
a lot of different types of people over there for different
hmm
reasons as well. You know,
yeah,
like as I say, none of those people were there for cars or
no,
for like okay, so a lot of the girls were there for anime reasons. Like a lot of them like anime
mm.
and all that sort of stuff. But you know, it was rare that
and
you'd see
fashion probably for
fashion.
Tokyo.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm. So you went to Japan. It wasn't necessarily just for spoon spots. So what else did you get up to before you went to spoon spots? We'll get onto spoon spots in a little minute.
Um, well, as I say, we mainly went there for cars for Hondas and anime.
hmm
So I would say before we went to Spoon Sports, we had 2 weeks there. So I think we spent like 5 days in Tokyo, and that was just sightseeing. We just did sightseeing stuff like you know, castles, temples,
hmm
shrines, all that sort of stuff. Um, and then we went down to Osaka, and it was a similar sort of thing. We had a pretty intense itinerary, like planned beforehand,
Yeah.
and we mainly stuck to it. But it was like after that fortnight, it was like there's no way you could see Japan in 2 weeks. You know, the amount of
No.
stuff that we wanted to do and see, we just couldn't do it. I think
Yeah.
we actually had food poisoning like when we got to Osaka, so we were like bedridden for like 3 days or something. So
Mhm.
lost 3 days of that trip, just being ill, didn't go outside.
Yeah.
But we were getting used to food and stuff, so you know we were just trying all these different foods and street foods and stuff. So it was not really a surprise that we got
No.
sick.
It's good that you tried stuff though. There's people that go there and don't bother. They just like go eat McDonald's or whatever all the time.
Hmm.
And don't want to try stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I went with some of those dudes. It wasn't as much fun.
Yeah, it's not so much fun.
No.
The whole point is trying local stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it.
hmm
There's just so many different things to try. It's like that I'd never even heard of. But
Yeah.
yeah, one guy I went there, he just wanted cooked
Mm.
burgers and steak. That was it.
Yeah. So armed with the printed out maps from Google or MapQuest or whatever it was at the time,
I think it was actually a Spoon website
was it?
we got the map from, because on their website it was on like their contact us details, and they had a map of Spoon Sports HQ. And I don't remember if they had details on the site at that point of Type 1. I think it was just Spoon Sports HQ, because
Mhm.
it had just been built like quite recently before that.
Yeah.
A few years before maybe. But yeah, so we knew the station we needed to go to. So we got the trains, went to that station, had the printed off map, and got out of the train, got to the station, and we were kind of like, right, well, where do we go now? You know,
Mhm.
like that was as far as we could get was the station. Like we were like, right, we got to the station. So I was like, oh, look, there's a guy like handing out napkins. So there's like this thing there where they like advertisement, they hand out napkins.
Okay.
We've always done this. So like all these companies will have like their branded napkins, and then they'll put people in the streets, and then every time you walk past this guy, they'll just go, arigato, whatever. They'll hand
Yeah.
out these napkins. So you're like, all right, okay, I've seen this napkin guy. So I was like, I'm going to ask this napkin guy about Spoon Sports. So like went up to him and was like, oh, excuse me. I didn't speak any Japanese. Like I didn't speak nothing. Like I didn't know any words in Japanese. Like my mate Scotty, he had like learned beforehand like maybe 5 or 6 words, like
Yeah.
konnichiwa, arigato, like whatever.
Bloody gaijins.
So I remember on the plane there, he was teaching me like, oh, this is how you say hello, this is how you say thanks. And I was just like, I should have really learned this
Yeah.
beforehand. So yeah, I went up to him and just like showed him the map. It was just like, oh, Spoon Sports. Spoon Sports. And he was just like, like, what's this guy on about? He had no idea. Like that guy had just been positioned there. He like didn't know that place. It was like, this isn't working.
He's like, I'm not selling spoons. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
he's like a napkins, bro.
Yeah,
Napkin.
But
He's
that
like,
napkin life.
yeah. So yeah, that didn't work. But as we were like trying to like speak to this guy, this chick walks up from behind us,
Mm-hmm.
and she had obviously clocked like that we had this printed off map, and she was like, she spoke some English, so she was like, oh, can I help you? And we were like, oh, looking for Spoon Sports. Spoon Sports. And she's like, my company. And we were like, no way. Really? She's like, yeah, I take you. And we're like, sweet, okay. So then she just like marched us off down these little streets.
Mm-hmm.
remember I went over a little bridge and stuff, back roads, back streets, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually we got to, it was like 10 minutes walking or something, 15 minutes walking. And then, yeah, we got to Spoon Sports and we were like, no way, we're here, decent. So she was like, yeah, just like come in with me. So I was like, okay, cool. So like we hit the jackpot. We were like, we're here. We made it to Spoon Sports, decent. So she took us downstairs in an elevator or whatever, went upstairs into like an office block, which is not what we were expecting.
No.
So like we walked in and we were kind of like, oh, this doesn't seem right. Like, where's all the cars and stuff? Like I think maybe saw a car outside, but inside it was just office blocks, like just office rooms, all like thingied off. And we were kind of like, this is weird. So she led us to an office, took us into the office, sat us down, and was like, oh, please wait, please wait. So we were like, okay, cool. So we're just like sitting there going, this is really weird. Like, where's all this stuff? Like, it's just an empty office. And then, I think, I can't remember if it was her that came back or the dude himself, but they came back in with a catalogue, Spoon Sports catalogue, and then just like gave us this catalogue just to like start looking through all the stuff. So we're like, all right, okay, cool. And then the Mr. Spoon himself walks in, Ichishima-san. And we'd seen him before, obviously, like from magazines or DVDs or whatever.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like, whoa, like he just like walked into the room and he was just sort of like, you know, like in broken English, sort of like, hi, like, how can I help you? And we were kind of like starstruck. We were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
How's it going? We're like big fans. And he's kind of like, right. You know, like, what's going on here sort of thing. So
this chick's just walked into his office and just like, been there's two guys here from the UK, or like Gaijin guys, and they're here to buy millions of pounds worth of Spoon Sports stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, okay, let's go meet them.
Yeah.
Then walk out and find you two.
Yeah.
Reprobates.
Yeah. Just random tourists. And I was like, what, 17 or something? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, so he basically had a notepad and a pen, and then he just said, write down the products that you're wanting to buy or whatever. So we were like, and then he left again. So we were like, wow, okay, cool. So I flicked through the magazine. I said to Scotty, I was like, you know, it was kind of, at that point, it did seem like that. It seemed like, oh, maybe like, you know, we shouldn't be in this office. Like, you know, this seems a bit trippy. So maybe we should just buy stuff, like loads of stuff. It's like, we wanted to buy stuff anyway, but we're like, let's buy more than what we planned to buy.
Just buy loads of stickers.
Like I just,
Well,
that's
he
what
always
we
wants
thought.
to sell you.
We're like, how much money have we got? It's
And,
like, oh, you'll have like heaps of money. It's like, we should buy loads of stickers. I'm like, no, we can't just buy stickers, man. We need to buy like heaps of cool stuff. So it's like, okay, cool. And like, I'd planned to buy a panel filter anyway. Like, I wanted a Spoon Sports panel filter for that B16.
Yeah.
Scotty was like, I don't have a B16. I was just like, just get a panel filter anyway, bro. It's like, it'll be sick, you know, good momentum or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, let's buy like loads of panel filters. So I think we bought like 6 panel filters or something. So I like wrote down like the number times 6. And then it was like, right, let's get like radiator caps, get an oil cap. Yeah, that's sweet. Get some stickers. And then
Go
those,
get the socks. You go get the Spoon Sports
Blues
socks.
Reservoir cover sock things. Yeah, I bought like 8 of them or something.
Yeah, no good Hot Boy Honda. Honda Hot Boy is without his Spoon Sports socks.
You need the Spoon socks. Yeah, for sure.
Of course, they heat up your reservoirs, remember? That was the thing that used to boil your brake fluid because they got too hot.
Yeah, I think the idea was it was supposed to look cool and catch any overspill, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was exactly the point. Is if it spilled out a little bit, it caught a bit instead of dripping all over your engine bay.
Yeah.
But I remember all the people who are anti those things used to just be like, "Oh, they heat up your brake fluid and your brakes will boil and you'll die."
Yeah.
Yeah. Just be like, "No, that's cool, bro." Like. So anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, wrote down all that stuff on this notepad, and then I went through to his desk, and just
order.
like, konnichiwa. Like,
konnichiwa.
It's like, I was like, Scotty, how do you say like hello again? He's like, oh, I think it's like konnichiwa or something. I was just like, right, cool, konnichiwa. Like, okay, cool. It's like, right, I've got this. Like, went back through, like, walked around, was like, where is he? Oh, there he is. Sweet. Went straight up. I was like, oh yeah, konnichiwa. Thank you. And then like put it down on his table, and he just kind of like looked at me, and then like looked down at it and was just like, why are you here? We were just like, I was like, oh, like, you know, we're big fans. I love Spoon Sports. And he's like, where are you from? And I was like, Scotland. We're from Scotland. And he's like, what? Like, you've come from Scotland? Like, what were you here to expect, basically?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, we just wanted to come find your company. Like, we're a big fan, and we wanted to see all the cars and the engines and all the parts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sort of like, right, okay, please, like, go back to the office. And I was just like, okay, cool. Went back in. Scotty's like, yeah, sweet. Did you find him? And I'm like, yeah, I gave him the thing. And he's like, aye, how did it go? I was like, okay, I think. Like, I think we're getting our stuff. And yeah, he came back in like 10 minutes later with like an invoice thing, like the total quantity of that amount of stuff or whatever. So
Yeah.
we took out our cash, gave him the cash. He went away, came back with a receipt in like a really fancy Spoon Sports envelope and all that sort of stuff. So we were like, whoa, that's super cool, super cool. And we're like, oh, nice. And I was like, where's the parts? You know, we thought we were like, we just paid all the money, but there's no parts. We're like, what's going on? Where's the shop or whatever?
Yeah.
So then he was just like, right, come with me. So we were like, all right, okay, cool. So left and then went back into the lift. And I think at that point, the basement of the building was where they did the development for the engines.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I remember correctly. So we went in to that room and when we left the elevator, there was two dudes standing either side with like bags full of the panel filters and all the shit that we just bought. So we were like, oh, this is cool. So we got the bags, and he like quickly showed us like all the engine stuff, and there was like K20s, B series engines. There was just parts everywhere. So he was just showing us all this stuff, and we were like, wow, this is awesome. And then he took us back out. And we were like, okay, that must be us done. Right. Thanks very much. And he was like, no, you come with me. And we're like, okay. So jumped in like this tiny little like K-car van thing and went for a little drive like around the corner, and then took us to Type 1. And we were like, whoa, Type 1, epic. And then like, yeah, it was amazing. Like, I'll never forget that. Just walking into that building and just seeing all the cars, EK9s, S2Ks, you know, DCs. It was just so many decent Hondas just sitting there. And then I think we were there for like maybe an hour or 2 hours or so, just checking out all the cars, all that sort of stuff. He turned a few on, got me to sit in like this race spec S2K and was like, yeah, rev it. And it's just like, I was like revving it. And he's like, no, not like that, like this. And he's like revving it like on the limiter and stuff. I was like, this is intense. It was so cool. So then, yeah, got to meet like some of the mechanics and see like what they were up to and all that stuff. The guy was so nice. He was so friendly, like helped us out. And then, yeah, after that, we were like, we were probably going to get going. But then he was like, oh, like you can come and help me like empty these boxes. So we're like, all right, okay. So the next thing we know is like we're moving all these boxes, like putting all these boxes into the bin and tidying stuff up, putting it into his little van and all that sort of stuff.
You've ruined my day. Now you can help me shift this boxes.
Yeah, now
cheap labour.
Yeah, cheap labour. And then, yeah, then jumped back into his van and he drove us to the train station. And then dropped us off at the train station and said to us,
Don't come back.
Yeah, don't come back. Give me that map. I'll tear that up. No, he was sound. He was like, thanks for coming around. Basically, like, really appreciate it.
That's
we were
pretty
like,
good,
wow, epic. And then he drove off, and we were just standing there like at the station with these bags full of Spoon Sports parts. Like, did that just happen? Like, were we just cleaning out bins with that dude that we've seen in those magazines?
Random.
Like, this is really trippy.
I suppose at that point in time there probably wouldn't have been many foreigners that went to tuning shops. That's what I was thinking afterwards, like years afterwards. I was like, when I looked at like when Type 1 was built and stuff, and when you see it now, the amount of people that's been there, and they've got like the big thing on the wall showing like where people have travelled from. Yeah,
like that wasn't there when I was there. So I don't know. They probably would have had a few people turn up, a bit more professional than us, you know, not just probably. Two random dudes.
Yeah, actually had appointments and didn't just show up with some random chick.
Yeah, I would imagine that chick probably got told afterwards, like, don't just bring people up into the office blocks and just like...
Not for 6 fucking spoon panel filters anyway. Only take random dudes back if they're buying a full engine build.
Yeah.
Don't want to see these panel filter noobs in my office again.
Yeah, I think at the start it was definitely like what's going on here sort of situ, but by the end it was like, it was pretty understood, I think, that we were just like big time fans of what he was up to. And
it's wild to think he took time out of his day because he would be busy. Like he wouldn't just be sitting like just playing with it,
Yeah,
waiting
no,
for people to turn up.
yeah, totally. No, he was definitely busy. There's no doubt about that.
Obviously, Spoon Spots do tuning, but they must do secret stuff for other people.
They got a lot of customer cars though. You know, like a lot of people there will take their cars in to get loads of stuff done to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can imagine he's a busy dude. Like,
Yeah, totally. A lot going on. So yeah, definitely to take us in there and then spend the rest of the day just like showing us around and entertaining us was more than we had asked for or expected.
Yeah.
But it was like experiences like that really kind of like solidified like why I love the country, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that was like it felt like a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah. Did you go to the salon that time? No.
No.
But you must where else did you go? Did you go street drifting?
Street drifting, that was Osaka. So again, we didn't have any like info on like what to do. We didn't actually have a map for that one, I don't think. We gained a map. See, this is the thing, it was like a game, you know what I mean? You'd speak to someone, then all of a sudden you got a map. So it's like, we can now do something different. And we were staying in the hotel actually we were staying in Osaka. It wasn't a hostel, it was a hotel. It was a really nice hotel. And it was a receptionist that worked there. And I'd said to him, like, street drifting? Do you know anything about street drifting? He was like an older guy.
Come back later.
Yeah, after hours.
Yeah, after hours.
Yeah. But he said back in his day, and he was an older dude, so he was like, back in his day, people used to go down to like the docks to street drift. Whether or not they still do it now, I don't know. But he was sort of like, you could go, but you know, I don't know how you could go if you don't have a car. So I was sort of like, well, we want to go and try and find some. So we were like, how would we go about doing this? So he basically explained, took out because they all had like maps.
Yeah.
Like, all the receptionists had the maps, so they take out the maps for Osaka, and then they'd say, right, so here's where we are. That's where you need to be. To get to there, you need to take like this train, and then you need to take like that train, and then you need to take that subway. But then when you get to that point, out of the subway, it's like you can't get to that bit unless you have a car. So you might have to get a taxi to get to that bit. Okay. So we were like, okay. So that's what we did. We just like did that. The route he basically told us.
Just come out the station. Taxi to the docks, please.
Yeah, see, if I remember correctly, it didn't work out like that. I think what we did is we didn't have the confidence to get a taxi without speaking Japanese and not knowing where we're going. So I think after we got off the subway, I think we walked it. So like, I remember we walked across a bridge that I don't think you were meant to walk across. And you can get in trouble for that over there. So you're not supposed to do that. But I think we did that. I can't remember exactly. But we got to the docks. And there was no cars there. There was just trucks. Oh. Just trucks. And I remember there was like barking dogs and stuff. It was like, oh, what are we doing? This is random. Like, this isn't what we expected. So like we walked about for a couple hours at least. Trying to find anything. There was nothing. We heard like some motorbikes, and that was about it. And at one point there was like a group of bikers we came across, and we were a bit frustrated by this point. So I was like, I'm just gonna go and speak to them. Like, why not? Yeah. So I just went up and was like, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Street drifting, and they were just like, you know, what the hell is this? Why is this kid here?
Who's this gaijin?
Like, the middle of the night in the docks, like, what's going on here? Yeah. But they were sound, and they were like, oh yeah, street drifting sort of thing. Go like that way, go that way, go that way. So we're like, okay, cool. So we went that way, and there was nothing. So we were like, this isn't going great. We should probably call it a night, because we'd been out for hours, and we knew we were going to miss the last train back. Yeah. So we started making our way back, and then with that we heard like tire squeals. We were like, is that drifting? Is that what that is?
I can hear slips.
Yeah, we can hear some sort of like slips. Like there's an engine going.
Somebody slipped.
So yeah, we started lagging it towards like the noise, obviously, because like obviously we'd been out for hours like walking about. So we were like, this could be it. This could be finally like us like seeing street drifting. And then we like went around this corner, and then boom, there was like this S13 like going broad sideways, like down this like intersection, but it's like, whoa, epic. Like, that's it. And it's like, oh, but we can't be seen. You know, we don't want them to see us, because if they see us, they might stop. And we didn't know, like, you know, we didn't know nothing. So we were like kind of like hidden, you know, just
hiding
like
in the bushes.
hiding in bushes or whatever. Just like, yeah, don't know if we're going to get in trouble. Like, if they'll go nuts at us for like watching, better not like, you know, take any photos or anything like
Bloody
that.
foreigners.
Damn foreigners, Gaijin turning up here.
They're taking photos of us doing illegal activities.
Yeah. So there was I think there was like two S bodies and like some sort of K car. And yeah, they were at it for maybe 20 minutes, if that, half an hour or something. And then they left, and we were like, shit, they're going. We better go get them and see where they're going. Like, we want to go and see if they're going to do any more. So we chased after it. And then within like a couple of minutes running, we were like, we're never catching that car. The car's gone. You know, what are we doing? Right? Like, we should probably just try to figure out how to get home from here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the car came back the way, and we were like, oh, that's the same car. No way. It's like, they've not left. No way. And so like, he had obviously clocked us standing on the side of the road at this point. And then just like went past us, and we were like, wow, check that out. And then he did like a massive like wand entry, and then like U-turned, and then like came back. And we were like, that's the dude. No way. He's like doing street drift in front of us. This is sick. And then he like went past us and then just like pulled in and stuck the hazards on. And we were like, should we go and speak to him? Like, go and speak to him. So like, he was up a bit. So like, he'd obviously gotten out to smoke, and he was maybe curious to why there was two random dudes just standing on the side of the road or whatever. So then we like went up to him, and he was super hesitant to speak to us to start with, because obviously like everybody was.
If you imagine the roles reversed though, you doing skids somewhere in the Aberdeen, Mexico location, and two Japanese guys came out of the bushes, you'd be hesitant
running after you.
Yeah, like running after you, like
With a
you're standing
camera.
there having a smoke, mind your own business, and these two dudes just shot the way up out the bushes. Oh, street drifting.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I never thought about that.
Yeah, of course
never
you
thought
don't.
of
Of
that.
course you don't at that time, but
But we told him, like, I think we'd learned like the word cool by that point, so we told him his car was cool. And yeah, he understood, like, you know, we were just like fans.
yeah.
So he jumped back in his car after he finished smoking, and then just started doing donuts. And then like the road was like separate. It was like two lanes, obviously, but it's like dual lanes, and then separated by like an island. And he was doing like big like figure of eights between this section, and it was just epic. It was so epic to see that, like, to see it for the first time. And that was that was the S13.5, which I didn't know what it was, but it was just so cool. And then when he finished it, he just pulled up next to this thing. He was like, thank you, goodbye, and then just like took off doing like a burnout. And we were like, wow, like this was intense. So it must have been like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning at this point.
Yeah.
And we were like, how do we get home? Like, where even are we now? Like, you know, we've ran and moved so much, like we've no bearing on where we are anymore. So, but we knew the name of the hotel, so started walking like in the direction we thought it was, and it wasn't the right direction. So yeah, turned
An
around.
impeccable sense of direction.
Yeah, not good. But we seen this taxi driver had pulled over somewhere to take a piss, and like just randomly, so like waited for him to finish, and then went over to him and just asked him. But he was like finished for the night, but he was happy enough to take us. So, or I don't know how he could have been finished for the night, but I think that was what he was implying. But either way, we got a taxi back to the hotel, and then it was like 6 in the morning or something. I don't know. It was early doors, but it was like life-changing. That was a life-changing experience. Like, that just shaped everything for me.
Like in episode 1, we spoke about that being the inspiration for the S15.
Yeah.
Although you didn't know at the time it was a 13.5.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, if it hadn't been for that, you probably wouldn't be doing probably as much as we're doing now. I
No,
would think.
probably not. And yeah, because I've still got that photograph. I remember when I was in New Zealand, staying with Keske, I told Keske the same story.
Mm-hmm.
And Keske being from there, going there so much, he was sort of like, "Oh, send me find the photo and we'll see." Because he's like, there wouldn't have been a great deal of guys doing that back then, especially with a 13.5 front end. So he's like, I might be able to figure out who it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we couldn't figure it out.
Never
who
figured
was.
it out.
No, that would have been a even better story.
That'd be so cool. Like
If
if
I'd
you
gone
just
back to meet the guy and been like, it was
Yeah.
you put me in that financial
be
hole.
like in his 50s now, like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, back in my day."
Back in my day, did a burnout for some foreigners.
So at that point, obviously Osaka, and then you're just kind of hanging about Tokyo and stuff. Did you get to go anywhere else? Did you like Daiko? Was Daiko a thing then?
Yeah, Daiko's been a thing for a while, but
Yeah,
we didn't know about it.
didn't get to go.
No, not at that point. I can't really think if we did any more real car stuff on that trip. I think the rest of the trip was spent doing traditional stuff. So we went to like I think it's called a ryokan, like traditional hotel, and we did all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Tried to just experience the culture on that trip.
yeah,
You know, we'd been to an Autobacks fairly sure. We went to our first Autobacks on that trip,
yeah.
and again that was just
Mind blowing.
mind blowing. It was like Halfords on steroids,
Yeah,
just like all the cool stuff. But we didn't have heaps of cash, so couldn't exactly. So we'd spent it all on Spoon Sports,
buying panel filters for cars you didn't
buying
have.
Bano filters. Yeah, and we were packing that bag with all these Bano filter boxes. Yeah, it was sweet.
To Autobacks, but no Up. Did you know about Up then?
No,
No.
no.
Up Garage was a thing to come.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing about that for years after.
Mm.
I think after I came home from that trip, I knew I didn't need to go anywhere else on holiday after that.
Yeah,
Like I was like, I'm going back there, like ASAP.
yeah,
I needed to make this a thing. And yeah, I think I've been there maybe 30 times, I think, since that trip,
damn.
which is quite a few times to go somewhere.
It's crazy when you think about airline fares alone.
I know.
30 times, whatever it would be.
Yeah.
A lot of dough, like.
Yeah, a lot to do. But I remember when I was trying to like build up notes for this episode, I remembered like when I was flying, I flew business class a couple times in KLM, and that was epic. But I got it like a discounted rate. Like my dad had loads of stars or whatever it is,
Yeah.
gold stuff, and yeah, I flew business class. That was epic, like
Mm.
so epic. That changed the entire like concept of traveling like a 10, 11-hour flight from.
Oh, yeah.
It
Like,
was like this is luxury.
yeah, we travelled to America a couple of times, like on premium economy, and that was like night and day difference. You know, you got to use a lounge, you got to chill, whatever. You get a nice seat to sit in, you get different food, you get actual metal cutlery instead of
Metal
plastic
cutlery,
stuff.
yeah, I remember that.
It's stupid things like that you think, oh my god, it's so amazing. But see, when you think about it though, you just paid like 800 quid extra, or like whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the difference is,
Yeah,
to get metal cutlery. That's how sad your life is.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, metal cutlery, and oh, I get unlimited drinks on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Get a glass of champagne.
you're still on a 10, 12-hour flight where you can't really get absolutely hammered.
Well, that's
Well,
really
yeah.
debatable.
It's always been different for me, like going to the States, because I've either had to like go meet my dad, so I can't be too hammered, or I have to drive on the other end, so I definitely can't be hammered.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You got to be legal and all that. So
I've only had one trip or maybe two trips where I've turned up to drive. So just go for it.
just get hammered.
Yeah,
What about when you get to another side?
yeah. But to be honest, like I said this just to someone just the other day, it's like the best way I find for traveling those sort of distances is you start drinking in the airport. Obviously, like you
Mhm.
get your first drink in the morning. It's always fine. It's always good to get a beer in the morning or a whiskey, like even if it's breakfast time. That's sound. And then you make your first leg to Amsterdam, and then you try and get like 6 hours in Amsterdam if you can. You know, you can get a stop. Like, an hour is too short. You know,
Yeah.
an hour is too short. 6 hours is sweet. You can jump into the bar. I don't know if the bar is still there now, but we used to jump into the bar, just get smashed like, as
Yeah.
quick as you could, pretty much. Like just like tan the doubles.
If you get longer, you can obviously go into actual Amsterdam itself.
Yeah, 4 hours is enough
Mm-hmm.
to go into Amsterdam, get to a coffee shop, and then have a coffee, and then chill out.
They're pretty strong, those coffees.
It's so strong, bro.
Mhm.
Like so strong. Like
They taste good though.
great tasting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get you very relaxed for the next next part of your
Yeah,
journey.
yeah. I remember there was one trip, it was actually an eye-opening experience where I just had too much coffees and was too alert. And then when I got on the train, I looked at myself in the window and was like, oh, damn, so I'm not getting on that flight. Like, that's not going to happen. But it was sound. I think everybody there is in that same coffee experience.
Yeah.
Even the security staff. So they're sound. But, yeah, then you get on the flight, have a couple of drinks on the flight. I can use the KO and then I'll wake up
Yeah.
pretty much there. And then I'm like, oh, we're landing, sweet. That'll do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that works for me, but it doesn't work for everyone.
There's only once I've ever done that. It normally happens to me. That normally happens to me coming back from somewhere.
Yeah.
End up KOing and waking up like right as we're landing, whatever. But yeah. There'll be more episodes about Mint in Japan. This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
This is Mint's first time in Japan.
As a recall back through the memory banks and the blog posts on mintlefruit.com. There's a plug. Yeah, there's a lot. I've had so many trips there, met so many people, made so many friends, and did so many different things. It was
there's loads. Like if 30 trips is a lot. Like
it's probably
been...
at least 30. I filled a passport at one point and had to get another passport because it was like it became a thing where it was like at least 3 times a year, just bouncing back and forth. And I was even going there for like week stunts at one point, just like I'll just go for the week.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I'd come back, and as soon as I'm back, I'd book the flight. Like I remember there was times where I was just coming back and then just booking that flight the day I arrived. Like as soon as I'm back in the UK, it's like straight on KLM. It's like I'm just fucking book a flight again. I need to get back there. It's like right, I'm going next month. Book it. Right, it's booked. I'm going back next month.
Crazy.
Like, yeah, just it's mental.
Crazy.
But in a way, I'm glad I did it because, like, I learned so much, met so many people.
Mm-hmm.
I made so many friendships from doing that. Making that effort. Yeah, and I think a few guys there, like realized like how much I was going back, so they gave me a lot of time. Spent a lot of time in. Yeah, it was sweet. But then since the last 2 years, it's the longest I've not been there since then, probably.
Yeah, because that last time you came back, the January, it was January. No, you went away in the January.
January 2020, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Went there for Auto Salon.
Yeah,
and that's when I got sick. Yeah, I went to go see a girl that I was dating. And I think just the day before I due to arrive there, she was in hospital in ICU or whatever. She was really sick with the flu. She had a flu kind of thing going on, and I was sort of like, Japanese flu ain't nothing compared to Scottish flu. It's like, I ain't got nothing to worry about, you know what I mean? And then got there, she was out of hospital, met up with her, and then I think it was like the day after I was like came down with it. I was sick.
Yeah.
So like that trip was like, I spent maybe however many days. I think it was like 4 or 5 days, just like flew up to the hill. Spent like 3 days in my hotel room, couldn't go out. And then came back here, January, whatever. And then I had 2 flights booked through KLM. And this chick was like, with everything that's going on, they might end up trying to shut the borders. And I was like, there's no way. Like, they're not going to shut the borders. There's no way that's going to happen. It's like, she's like, oh, move your flight earlier. I was like, I'm not moving my flight earlier. It's like, it's not going to shut. It's not going to shut. And then I was due to fly out on the Monday, and they shut the border on the Friday. And I was like, shit. Like, no way. I had a dream about it as well. That was the most messed up thing about the whole situation is I had this mad dream, right? Like a week prior to that happening. And it was like this like really vivid dream of like a worldwide apocalypse. Like it's super grim, but that's what it was. It was a worldwide apocalypse where the world was shut and internet went down and I couldn't speak to her. And like it was all like dramatic because there was no way to get in touch with her and blah blah blah. So I told her. I said, "Oh, I had this mad dream that like this was going to happen," and then like all the stuff started happening related to that, and then it was just like shit. Shortly after, there's rumor, they might end up shutting the border. Yeah. So she was like, "That's your dream. Like your dream is making it happen. Fault. It's like this is all your fault." And I was like, "No. It's just a coincidence. Just a coincidence." And then she's like, "Yeah, get here early. Change your flight to Wednesday." And I was, I'm not changing my flight to Wednesday. I'm flying out on Monday. It's like, it's going to be sound. I'll be there on Monday.
Mm.
Border shuts Friday. It's like, oh, God. She's like, I told you to change your flights to
Be
Wednesday.
fair, it's probably a blessing in disguise though, because you'd have been end up trapped there
For sure.
potentially, trapped with no money. In the end, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I can think of worse places to be stuck.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I was, yeah. And then I ended up just having to cancel both flights in the end, and then waiting like a year to get my cash back from that. It took ages to get my cash back from that, but it happened, got the cash back, and then landlocked ever since.
Yeah,
This
pretty
is the
much.
longest I've not been there in so long, so
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's brutal, but it is what it is. So.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Meant aero development could get work done, so
Well, that's the
everything happens for a reason.
yeah, silver lining to all that. We pushed more aero, more company stuff.
Yeah,
So pretty cool.
totally. So yeah, I think episode 2 we can go through our notes right here. Episode 3, sorry. So we recorded an episode 2.
Yeah, this is technically episode 2.1.
This is episode 3 or episode 2.5 technically.
1.
2.1. So we recorded an episode with Pete the Russian, but Pete has had to go back to Russia. And our audio file's corrupted. So unfortunately we've lost that episode, so we don't have the episode with...
We will re-record it.
We will re-record it because that was a good one. Hopefully we're a bit more set up with stuff now. It's a lot of trial and error to get this stuff all set up, but yeah, we're getting there. So this is episode 3. Episode 2 is in the matrix of scrambled technology.
Yeah.
So episode 4 would it be the next one?
Mm-hmm.
We're going into like Japan tuning shops, super autobacks, talk about that sort of stuff. Up garage,
doing all the things
yellow
in
hat,
Japan.
loads of them.
Yeah.
Markup garage, as some dudes call it over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good concept, but yeah, and tuning shops that I've been to and stuff like that. So
Cool.
yeah, sweet.
Well, we'll see you guys in episode 4.
3 or 4, 3.5, 4.2.
3.5, 4. We'll just call it 4.
420.
Yeah, episode 4. Well, no, we can't call it 4. Well, yeah, we can. It's fine. Everybody knows now that episode 2 is lost. So episode 2 will be back at some point.
Episode 2 doesn't exist at the moment until we bring it back. So what we can do is when Pete comes back from Rusco, if we get another episode in with him, we can call that one episode 2.
Yeah.
The original 2.
Yeah, the original
2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully it doesn't confuse you too much.
Yeah, totally. So
But
yeah,
yeah.
if you,
We'll catch you guys later.
yeah, if you like this episode, then give us a like and a thumbs up and subscribe. Click
Remember
that.
to comment. We do read the comments.
Yeah, I know in the first episodes I said don't leave us a comment because you know we can do it anyway. But you'll leave us a comment. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
It's been fun, and click the bell. I think the bell does stuff.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Do the thing.
You ring the bell, you'll get to know when we do more stuff. So
If you don't ring the bell, we're going to do YouTube faces on our videos.
YouTube faces.
Yeah, you know, like when you're all happy and like thumbs up and stuff.
Oh man, I really hope we don't.
And I
jump
don't
into
want to do that, so please ring the bell.
Cringe
Thank you.
level of YouTubers.
Yeah. Right. We'll
Peace.
catch you later. Bye.